Warning. This AQC content drop contains adult material such as harsh language, intense graphic outbursts, drug use, alcohol consumption, and nudity. Wait, what? Not nudity. Well, maybe a little. I gotta see what fit the crew is wearing today. But back to this PSA. One after the other, we will answer the most difficult and embarrassing questions we have ever been asked. We are not responsible for the laugh out loud hilarity you may experience or any crisis of perspective. The AQC crew is protected under the black delegation of the Church of Chappelle to produce our own content and say whatever the fuck we want. But we strongly suggest that you put your kids to bed, put your headphones in, get you a drink, and get ready for
Actors Quarantine Corner!
Yo, it's your boy KB and your boy, and this is Actors Corner!
That's a vibe.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday night, and we are here live.
We are back, baby.
Season 2, y'all.
Oh,
Season 2, y'all. It's season 2, y'all. AQC. It's Monday night. It's Monday night. It's Monday night. It's Monday night. Hey, your mama 10 court. 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 It's the AQC. It's the AQC. It's the AQC. It's the AQC. Season 2, bitch. Season 2, bitch. Season 2, bitch. Yeah. Now we here, let's go.
Hey.
Now we here, let's go.
Let's go.
9 o'clock, time to start the damn show.
Let's start
Here
it.
we go. Got our live guests in the building. Melissa Molano in the building.
Hey.
B in the building.
Hey.
KB in the building.
Hey.
JP in the building.
Hey.
AQC in the building.
AQC.
Back on the corner. Back on the corner.
Hey.
Back on the corner.
Hey.
Back on the corner.
Hey.
Turn it up. Hey. Turn it up. Hey. Turn it up. Where your mama? Turn it up. Where your mama? Where your live dinner? Where your live dinner? Where your live dinner? Well, it's the new freestyle for the damn new season.
Hey, it's the joke, I don't even need a reason. Hey, I done came down and you know I gotta please. Asking me when you coming out next season. Hey, now we here. Yeah, now we back. Just like this and just like that. Get down. I'ma do my thing. I'ma Southwest. Yeah, so my thing. I don't know what to say. But I still ride down and I turn head. In the car, the color is the red. And I'm going to sleep in my bed. King side, let it feel good. Got a pillow top and I ain't from the hood. Stay in the middle class neighborhood. Where the street is all good. Ride your bike at night. Niggas don't come around looking tight. I cut my grass every Saturday.
Every other Saturday, but I feel you.
I'm trying to get in trouble with HOA.
Hey, let's go.
Not trying to get in trouble with HOA.
It's a real thing.
I know, right?
It's a real thing.
I know, right? That's so crazy.
It's a real issue.
That's what I'm telling all my rappers. Rap about real issues. All you niggas don't live in the hood. You gotta deal with an HOA.
Straight up, indeed. Straight
Niggas live in nice neighborhoods.
Get that car out the street, man. Your car been on flat on the corner, man. Put it in your driveway. Put it in your driveway. That was good. That was good.
We back, baby.
Yo, we are back,
We
y'all.
back, baby. Season 2.
Season 2. What's up? Y'all, welcome back to season 2 of Actors Quarantine
Corner.
And you know we got to kick season 2 off right, man. We are starting a brand new thing that we like to do on the every first Monday, and that is our artist spotlight. So let's give it up. We actually started doing this. It didn't have a name or anything. We started doing this when we were doing our shows in the garage. We were going live with different artists, just checking in with them, seeing how they're doing, what they got coming up, and what they were doing to cope during the pandemic or what art they were working on. And so we wanted to just continue that and create a platform where artists that have achieved something or have something going on or are just really dope artists in the city. And that it just doesn't have to be actors. This is actors, dancers, painters, poets, whatever you create that's art, and you have something going on. We want to put a spotlight on you. We want to use our platform to give you a platform.
So all our platforms build other platforms.
Yeah, so we can just platform together.
Platform it up.
And build a house or a nice
not
stage.
Like the 70s, though.
Okay. No, not those
the
platforms.
70s.
Thank you. No, I got you. I got you. You said it. You didn't have anything.
I think those are coming back.
I hope not. So artist spotlights is something that you all will see from us every first Monday with Actors Quarantine Corner. So make sure y'all tune in live. If y'all want to check it out, every first Monday you'll see a different artist that we are interviewing, that we are checking in with, that we are deep diving into intense conversation with to just get to know them, who they are, and how they operate and why, you know. And our first guest just happens to be a very, very talented actress, a dope individual. She's cool than a motherfucking fan. And she has just achieved something new.
Yeah.
So we
a former friend of the corner.
A former friend of the corner.
It's like a third time on the corner.
She used to go live like when we just used to
live.
Hey y'all. Like let's click Melissa in. Yeah. Hey, what you doing? I don't know what you doing.
Bring them all back.
So
one of the OG members.
So she's here just like we did do Dakina. If y'all caught the Dakina show at the end of our last season, she was on with us on our live, and we brought her in live. And so we wanted to do the same with Miss Melissa because she is a very, very special individual, very special artist, and we had to see her in person finally. So let's give it up for the actress, the artist, the singer, Melissa Molano!
Man, Melissa,
welcome to the corner.
Welcome to the corner.
You're in the actual corner.
I'm in the actual corner.
The actual corner.
Oh my God.
So
I made it.
We made it, y'all. So how does it feel to be here?
It feels
in real life.
Like honestly, every time I can actually be somewhere now, it feels like dreamy. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm in a dream.
Just outside.
I'm just outside. I'm just happy to be here.
I know.
And you at the post office, I'm just.
I can touch the air.
I didn't know what you was doing. I thought you was tweaking
just
right
touching
quick.
the air.
Oh, I thought that motherfucker was tweaking. He just started reaching.
I thought he was about to explode.
I didn't know. It's okay, man. We with you, bro.
I'm here.
We are interpreting everything you got going today.
If you don't know, I'll explain it to you. So yeah.
But no, it's just good to be outside. So
yes.
How has your week been? Let's start off there. Let's start light.
It's been good, but it's also been the pace of my life has done a complete 180.
Yes.
So I'm still getting used to that. Getting used to having places to be.
A schedule.
Having to know what day it is.
That's fair.
Actually, honestly, this show is how I remember the weeks we're going.
You know it's Monday.
Monday.
We don't do anything. We're gonna tell you it's Monday.
Definitely. You know what today is.
And so it's a consistent thing. It was one of the few, maybe one of the only consistent things during that time.
Well,
so what was life for you during the pandemic?
It was,
let's see the transition.
Yeah, I mean, we went through some phases. We went through some phases. Like the beginning, I was in the camp thinking it was gonna be, I don't know how I thought this, but you know how we all thought it was gonna be like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And then, you know, so I thought, okay.
I fooled myself with that.
I know. I really, oh yeah.
Oh,
'cause
this will blow over.
Yeah.
we
We
were
were
like,
working on the same show.
we were
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
Riverside and Crazy. And
That's
then
right.
we're like,
That's right.
yeah, and we're like, okay, well, we'll probably see you in like 2 weeks, you know?
All right, man, we'll see you again.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
You haven't seen her in a year.
No.
No.
That's real shit.
That's real.
That's
This
real.
is-
It's only been a year and a half.
Oh shit.
God
That's
damn.
really true.
I was just in the Heights every night. Like, we were doing
Yeah.
from rehearsal to opening weekend.
And we thought we'd be back, like, you know, because we even had like an email for
We had a whole nother schedule when we were returning and everything, because my unemployment cut off based off that schedule. Yeah,
how
so
that feels.
we never came back.
and we never.
Neither did my unemployment.
We need to turn my unemployment back on. They cut it off, so you turn
I
it back
spent
on.
too much trying to get that motherfucker back.
Oh man.
Nah, that's dope. So, tell us about how the transition has been. So, you went from basically having to sit where you working from home, were you chilling?
I mean, I was just like, I went from knowing what I was going to be doing for the next 6 months, like, you know, which is sometimes rare as an actor, you know, because I was freelance actor, like, and I was like, okay, amazing. Like, I'm in a spot where I know what I'm doing up until I think it was like, at the time, like, maybe until like August or something. So I was like, great. For that to just like, within like a week or so, all of it, vanished. And it was a lot of kind of just being like, you know, the meme of the little dog with the coffee and the fire. Like, this is fine. This is fine.
Yeah. Life is still great.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's great.
And you know, and so, it's been an interesting like digital art journey, where I did do sound scripts. I know Brandon did one with me. We did the sound scripts.
Are you a fan of digital art? Digital acting?
And it kind of depends. Like, I mean, in general, across the board, I never got used to Zoom in general. Like, I mean, I really struggled with Zoom. I
don't think any actor did.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
I think the TV film actors are fine, but I think all the stage
No,
actors
it's
are like,
even harder to do it on Zoom. Like, if you do film and TV, things are set in place. To do that and emulate
I'm just saying they're
on
used to
Zoom,
auditioning in that manner or acting.
man, I
For
don't
stage
know.
actors,
like
we
it.
were like,
I
we
didn't
went
like it.
from our person was right there and saying,
Yeah,
"Hey,
but
great."
it was
to-
just too weird across the
I don't
board.
like
Like,
it.
it was just way too weird. Like the lags and waiting for people to talk.
And you can't make true eye contact.
No.
Anyway.
I'm looking in your eye, and the other person is like,
What's
I
eating, like,
know.
you think they're looking at your screen?
Or they're looking at themselves.
I'm looking at my script right now. I'm looking at my script. What did you say? Yesterday is what happened.
"Win."
When?
I hate when a nigga grab one word.
Oh my God.
You went all the way back and just grabbed one word. You didn't get the whole
All
sentence.
sentence.
I remember when. No, get the whole.
So can I'm gonna ask this just across the board. So if digital theater or virtual theater is like here to stay in our theater, is that something that you like are agreeable with or want to do or pursue?
I'm doing whatever I can to get some of what he's doing.
I mean, you know, you gotta go where the money reside, where the money reside, where the money
Well,
reside.
and it's like there's that, and I think what was also cool is that it was accessible to like, I mean, like
Yes.
we were able to see shows from like
That's
places that we
true.
typically wouldn't
True.
get to. So I think that was nice, and also like I appreciated when I saw that some theaters are doing like subtitles in other languages, because then it's like they can watch us perform, but then
Watching it now and reading, be able to understand children.
yeah.
No, I like it for that, man. I like them filming theater and showing it. I like
Yeah.
that. But the actual, we gonna be on Zoom and you gonna come watch this Zoom production. I don't like the Zoom
I'm
production.
not with that.
I don't like Zoom rehearsal because I feel like you can't get
real feel for timing and what something really sounds like.
Well,
I mean,
sometimes you're looking in the boxes, you're like, what's that person doing?
Right, you spend more. Thank you. I spend more time looking at everybody else's boxes. Like, what are y'all doing?
I don't know who to make eye contact with.
And then let's not forget the 1 or 2 random people who forget to put their shit on mute.
Yes.
And says all kinds of crazy stuff in the middle
Mama
of
said I'm
like what? Like why are you? Oh my God!
Somebody needs to mute. Somebody.
It just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me.
So coming out of that, you said stuff went to like a. Would you say it got dead for you?
Oh well, I mean, yeah, it all died.
And so how did it transition out of that? When did it start to pick up again?
So,
and then tell us about what happened new for you.
Yeah. So I mean, really, it was a journey because it was like everything died, and it was like, okay, this is fine, you know, and then everyone was starting to do kind of the Zoom things, and then because I'm an equity actor, I wasn't sure. There was that whole thing of like, what can we do?
Can we do them?
No. Yes. Y'all
Yeah.
can.
No.
Wait.
Well,
hold.
wait. You know what?
Let us have a meeting.
That doesn't have anything to do with us, and then they just shifted us
Just
off
like
to the
that.
wolves.
And
Yeah,
so it was hard because then
we're
it
not
was
dealing
like
with
people didn't know if they could play with you, and then I didn't know if I could, and so part of me was like feeling like a kid on the playground, like I just want to play.
Yeah,
with
but they're
someone.
like, shoot, we don't need that.
It's like everybody had different reasons. I can't play with you. Like I can't play with y'all because y'all at the wrong court, and y'all can't play with me.
That was a messy time, man. It was a messy
So
time.
there was that whole thing of like trying to navigate that, and then also just being like, well, how long is this even going to be something to be concerned about?
That's true.
And but thankfully, like one of my friends, Dominique Champion, he like did his own project, so that was like my first Zoom endeavor, and that one was really bold because he did.
It was Shakespeare, wasn't it?
No, it was Last Days of Judas Iscariot.
That's what it was. I remember that.
Yeah,
I heard
and-
good things.
And thank you. And it was very bold because it was a live stream of the Zoom. So yeah, so it wasn't even
So
like
everybody
pre-recorded.
No,
you had
no.
to be like prepared and ready.
And I'm telling you, I was sitting like, so I had mine set up like in my bedroom because there was like a plain white wall, and like I was nervous. I was sitting in front of my laptop, my dog's like right here, and I'm like perfect, you know, just have it like this, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm getting those like nerves because it's like, it's live, but I can't hear or see the audience.
Straight up. Isn't that weird though?
Yeah.
Because I've had, because I do hosting, so I've hosted like live events, even with DJs. And I'm sitting there in my living room by myself, like, yo, everybody put your hands up. What's going down right here, man? We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Yeah, we live. And you just like looking at me just in my house,
You're the
like,
speaker.
And then all you hear is like the smoke detector beat, like, because it's so quiet, like, you know. Me and KB did a live
Khalid,
Or
man.
the ice maker.
It's quiet in here, man. This is a good part.
But each time the camera come on me, I'm like, yeah, it's live. I see y'all, we having fun in here.
But I agree with that.
As soon as you go off the camera.
But I said that to say that before I started, I did have them butterflies. I'm like, what the fuck, I got these, but nobody's here. It's like, it's just me and this camera. But I was like, all right, ready, here we
about
go.
to do a thing.
He was like, Joe, we about to start. I'm like, oh shit, okay, all right, here we go. I'm like, what the fuck, like this is...
But didn't you have like that slight existential
I
crisis?
did, I'm
like when it ended. Like when you're done and it's like, okay, great, and then you're just in the silence.
I'm just in my house. I cut the ring light off.
Click leave
Yeah,
meeting.
you hit leave meeting.
And what's even worse is when they hang up before you, nigga.
And then you're just like,
They be like, all right, oh.
that's it.
Cutting my ring light off.
Dang.
Damn, it's dark in here.
Man, it was just a weird time, man. I think it's a weird time, but I think a lot more people, like you said, who did not have access to theater, like gravitated towards that. So I think, like in true theater terms, it should be something that should still be accessible. I just don't personally know if I want to be a part of those accessible Zoom shows.
Depends on the check.
I mean, that's fair, but I think in true fashion, I'm sure anything digital will be slightly lesser than what a real performance would be in terms of just like the amount of work you have to do and input. Like it's
less
all
work,
virtual. Yeah, so of course less money. That goes hand in hand. We can't pay you superstar prices and you're doing amateur marketing.
I compare it to this. I got a gig that I used to do live. We do it on Zoom now. We get $200 less. But I ain't got to be in front of no people. I ain't got to dress up. I ain't got to put no clothes on.
True.
I ain't got to go to a 9-hour rehearsal. And all I really lost was $200. But I saved so much. All I got to do is I was traveling. I was on the road and did the gig at the hotel because it was that type of gig.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be able to go out of town to do that trip if we were still live doing it. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm like, you got to equal up somewhere. Like, so if I am gonna take less money, you got to be bringing me a whole lot of peace, and it's easy work. Like I'm coming in to do my shit, and then I'm out.
I like a lot of the Zoom stuff because especially when you workshopping new pieces and new works and things like that. So a lot of times the pays, and I like to get paid well. Don't get it twisted, but sometimes it's not as important because the work may be something that I would really, really want to work on. And if it wasn't for Zoom, I wouldn't have this opportunity because my director's in New York and this person that's reading, that's really cast is in Chicago. So with Zoom, that helps me be able to still be a part of that process when, if it wasn't for Zoom or the process we're in now,
That's real.
definitely would have never
I did a reading with the theater in Vermont. Like, granted, I should have been there physically, like before coronavirus, but they just decided to do it on Zoom. So we did the reading. Like, I mean, granted, I wouldn't have still met any of those people. I met a lot more people because of the Zoom. You know, like that weren't even here. Like we talked to them pretty much 3-4 times a week, and I think I was like one of 2 people that was in Texas. Like I was in Houston, and another cast mate was I think in Dallas, I believe, and everybody else was like up north and east. You know, so. I mean, it has its advantage.
That's what I say, it has up and down, and it's shortened the length of shit. Like shit that used to be this long live, was
true.
this long.
But the hours that you spend on Zoom got a little longer, okay?
Yes, than what you used to do. But like, cause even with the gig I was talking about, like we would have 8-hour rehearsal day. Now the rehearsal day is 3 hours, cause they like, what's the point of being on Zoom for 8 hours? You know what I'm saying? Even though I was like, what's the fucking point of being in person for 8 hours? So because of the Zoom, they like, nah, we just go keep y'all for a 3-hour rehearsal. And then after that, it's really, my work day is 90 minutes. In person, my work day was fucking like 7 hours.
Like all day.
Because you had to do 2 sessions, you had to take a lunch, you eat there, they're gonna feed you lunch and all that shit. And then you gotta go do the second session. So I was like, for this particular thing, I'll take the Zoom route, but for other shit, I'm like, I'd rather be there in person.
Just call me where we can hug each other.
Now, tell me this: did you go from I'm just sitting chilling to I'm working at the alley now to how did that happen? Tell us how we get into this wonderful news that you're going to tell us.
I guess I don't know. It was kind of a gradual thing because I was cast in a show. That was one of the shows that got canceled because I was gonna do Sense and Sensibility for the summer, but then that went away. But then I guess once Actors Equity was starting to kind of figure out what you can do.
Then the theater's good.
and because there was that whole thing between them and SAG, and so I got to do a couple workshops with them because I guess they figured, which by the way, my opinions are my own. They're not, I have to state none of anything I'm going to say is representative of the alley or anything like that.
Yeah, we're talking to Melissa.
Disclaimer or any other theater I've worked for.
Yes.
But I think that they just wanted to go ahead and utilize the time to workshop plays that maybe they want to do down the line. So I got to do a couple play workshops with them. But as far as me becoming a company member,
if you didn't know, breaking news. She is a resident company member.
Melissa Molano.
As far as that happening, that was a series of conversations of like gauging my interest and sort of, but I was very much at first like, okay, don't play with my emotions.
Yeah, I'll be playing.
Yeah.
Are we talking for real?
Look, don't talk to me unless you're for real.
I was kind of like, okay, like we can talk about this, but like don't play with my emotions here, because we're going.
Pulling on my actor's heartstrings.
Right?
Yeah, because it's like we just, we don't know what's happening. But so I said I would be interested if that was a thing. And so it was kind of just a series of conversations of what that would look like and what that would mean. And then, so after one of the workshops that I was working on is when I saw the receipt, which was my contract, and I signed it, and so then I joined.
All right, we have our newest resident acting member of the alley, Miss Melissa Molano.
Young member.
Yes, some demographics in there, man.
How did it feel coming from where your journey started
actor
with
to a working actor
to
Like,
Alley is the creme de la creme here in Houston, and if you're gonna work somewhere for a long time and for some good money, Alley is the place. So how does that feel?
I mean, and you can ask anyone who's known me since I was like a high schooler. I mean, it's a dream theater of mine. And so even just me ever getting to do a show there, and then that going from like that one, like starting from like the Oscar tour. That was my first time working with them. That was like amazing. I'm with the Alley. And then like that becoming the All New Festival, which was like, holy moly.
I did that with you.
Yeah, and it's like, you're just like, oh my God, I'm immersed. Like, I remember meeting Rajiv Joseph and being like, he's on my bookshelf. Like, like I felt like such like a nerd, and like, because I am, and like, and then that going to like my first production to like, I mean, even just being at the point, like something I thought about a lot in the pandemic is just like the fact that I got to work with the company as much as I did was already really huge for me. Yeah. So then, feeling like I'm being proposed to,
and then,
and then wanting to just be like, hey, like, why don't you stay and like,
let's be together.
Let's be together. I was like, you know what? Yeah, like, it was, I think I'm still, like, mind blown that it's real,
I mean, for me, you make it seem real, as like a actual peer and colleague of mine, like, in acting, like, to know, because, for a long, and we've all staying there in the conversation, like, is the door open? Can anybody go? But at least you think like now there's some type of hope, because someone that is closely related to us in our demographic, mindset, all those things can be.
And who's from here?
Yes, like born and raised. So, I mean, it does give a greater sense of hope for that, you know what I mean? Because my opinions, demographics should change somewhere at some point in time. Hopefully, maybe not everybody, but I'm just saying, like, just sprinkle some.
Everybody should be a representation of where they are.
I mean, and if we are a representation of Houston, then we are missing some things, and that's not just that. It's a lot of things.
No, I'm saying everybody.
A lot of things, even the ensemble too. Every ensemble can sprinkle a little salt in their pepper, like so. I'm just saying, like it's not just them. It's not just exclusive.
Well, when you only pepper around.
I'm sorry.
I think what we're getting at is there's a lot of spices in the cabinet
that we could use to make great.
Yes. And Houston is this the spice capital.
Exactly.
So I did want to ask this: once you signed the contract, did your schedule immediately fill up? What's the future looking like? Are you book now, or is it just I had that moment and then
So I'll be real. It was really like weird, right? Because it was like I signed it and it said, okay, well, nobody knows yet, so you can't tell anybody. I'm like, okay. And then they're like the resident company doesn't know yet. And I'm like,
wow.
oh. Wow. So I'm like, nobody.
So your
knows.
new family didn't even
So-
know yet. Like they were adopted.
I
He
know.
birthed you, but you can't see the baby yet.
Yeah,
You can't see
exactly.
your brothers.
You
You can't see your
the baby.
sisters.
Yeah.
But
We'll tell them that you're here late. You're
Yeah,
here.
exactly. So I was kind of like, okay, so it was like a series of, so really it wasn't until finally like, you know, because it was a series of like rolling out the news of like, then it's like by the end of the week they knew, and then it was like, yay, but it's like, okay, but they know, but these people don't know. And I'm like, okay, and then it's like, okay, now these people know,
So
but
it-
everybody else doesn't
So
know.
it happened in stages.
It
Like,
was
ooh, I get to celebrate with y'all.
And it was like so
It's a
weird. So
lot.
then finally, when the article comes out, it's like, congratulations, everyone knows now. And I'm like, thank you. I can finally just like, because guys, I was so weird for a while because it was like I had this news. And that I felt like I was avoiding people because I didn't want it to like come off
Just
of me. Like,
regurgitated.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, just what you got going on?
Resident company member. Resident company member.
it's just,
my life has changed.
My life is changed. I just got a full-time job. It's on the contract now.
I know, because I'm like, I
But
don't want to
nothing like-
lie to people, but then it's like, it puts you in a weird position where you're like,
Yeah,
you
just-
know, like I just
just breathe
can't
in.
talk to
Yeah.
you.
I can't talk to you.
text me. I can control the words. I can control my fingers.
I can't talk to
Just
you.
text me.
I can't talk to you. So there was that first, and then it's like, okay, now everybody knows. But then my onboarding was still not for like another like month or so.
Oh,
so I had
shit.
this like dead. So it's like, okay, so you're there. I'm like, well, no, the announcement is out, but I'm not.
People
I'm
know,
not
but I'm
there.
not really like
I'm not
doing
there. I'm
it
not
yet.
quite in the
I
pictures
can't. I
yet.
can't be in the building yet.
I don't have my
I
card.
don't even have an ID tag yet,
I know.
man.
And so it's just this funny thing of like these series of stages, and now it's like, start of July, it's like, okay, now I have my access card. Now I'm here. I got a swag bag, which I was not expecting, but I thought was a
Do you
nice
get a locker?
touch.
Do you get a locker on the rehearsal floor?
Okay, so I'll
How does
admit.
that work? Or
Even
you're a
when I-
rookie, you can't get one.
Well, I'll admit that now I feel like I can. Well, they kind of knew, I think. I had a snack locker because there was a locker that was just open.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and so I would hide snacks in there.
I'm
So
aware of it.
so now I think I can actually have a lock.
Yeah.
It's actually closer to like, I think it's right under my picture too. It's like a little.
Oh, yeah, 'cause you're right
I got a
there.
You
picture
right there
over
on the
there,
wall,
right under
yeah.
that.
You
I
right
know
on there,
exactly where it
exactly.
is, y'all. I
Yeah.
had something in that locker once or
Yeah,
twice
it was
before.
like the snack locker.
I just throw shoes.
That's
The
crazy.
locker.
The locker.
So you get a locker.
That's good. That's good.
That's what's up.
But yeah, but now that I'm like now in, it's like the pace now is just like the first time I opened and had access to my now I have an Alley email that they give you, and I had 45 emails, and I was like,
Shit.
I was like,
Let me catch up.
From where? Like how? Who is emailing me? Like nobody even knew a week ago. I had
The whole staff. Now that you're here, this is what I need from you.
Everybody, every day. 3 emails a day.
We've been
like,
waiting
every
for
day.
a month for you to get here.
So on Tuesday you have a meeting at 9 with
well, and then
advertising.
you get like calendar things that I'm like, oh, okay, and it's like now this meeting's happening. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, there's okay, yes.
Yeah.
So is it really feeling like I don't want to say, don't take it like this, but a corporate actor, like you're a part of a company, as to how you were feeling when you were, freelancing at different theaters? You feel like, because you have appearances and stuff that you have to do and places you have to be at that's
Yeah.
outside of just acting now, right?
Yeah, I remember my first we've already had 2 events already. There was a season kickoff with the board and stuff, and that was my first time being in a group setting after pandemics. The first time I really got to that was the first time I'd worn heels in over a year and a half.
Damn.
Yeah, a long time. So it's
Yeah.
I show up, and it was funny because it was in the theater, which I hadn't been back at the theater in like so long, and it was really lovely. Like they decorated it and there were lights, but I sort of had a moment where it's like I walked in and I was like, did I die? Like, am I in a fever dream? Like, is this real? Where people are like, oh, congratulations, and I'm like, what? You know, you just like everything is just so heightened because you're like, what is happening? But I know what you mean. It is like that because before like being freelance,
go home and figure out what I gotta do tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's gonna be. I mean, this is really life changing because really like even when I was in those contracts before, I would do these like overlaps, like much like the company does, but I had to still see about making auditions and worrying about what's next. Right. I mean, there were times, I remember there was an audition once, like, oh God, it was like opening week of Murder on the Orient Express, and I literally got the last slot of that audition slot, and I just take off the wig and like kind of try to make my makeup look a little less crazy, and then roll up to the theater, and then just like, as soon as I walked in, it's like, oh, perfect, okay, now it's your turn. I'm like, and I
get to breathe.
Yeah. And then like, and then just like go home and be like, oh.
So I just gotta add, like, as an actor, I think we all like worship this ideal or like just try to gravitate toward the idea of, like you said, trying to figure out what's next. Like not having that pressure of trying to find what's next and just kind of knowing that it's coming. Like, how does that make you feel or change you, like, as an actor now? Like, what does that feeling feel like?
It honestly, for me, like, if I really like sit with that, it's gonna sound trite, but it's true. Like, immense gratitude, because that's truly like.
The goal.
I mean, and I just feel, and I know that I'm in a really privileged position because there's not that many even acting companies anymore, which I kind of hope changes. Like, I just feel like it's nice for people to be able to like, even if it's a different structure where it's like rotating companies,
exactly.
Like I think that could be a really great thing where people can just like be in a company for
and
a year.
Have some type of security. Like the one fleeting thing about being an artist is security, So like just being able to hold on, even if it's just for like a season or 4 months, like we give you a 7-month contract or just something that can give me a little bit of security instead of like, okay, once this is over, thanks, see you later.
Hope you find something next.
We'll be in contact with you.
Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
See you at the cast party.
See you at the cast party.
Like, hope you still see the rest
I
of the
know.
season. I know.
You should come out to the next show.
Yeah, you'll have
You're
to
not
buy
in it,
ticket.
but you'll have to buy a ticket.
No, just come
You
out.
have to buy it.
No, I'll leave you one.
Well, yeah, you have work here. It's our duty.
But I'm interested to see too, because also like, I know with this particular theater that I'm calling my home theater now, it's like they're in the camp of, there's like a lot of different theaters across America that are like shifting the structures and stuff, and I know that they're one that, for example, like we're not doing 10 out of 12s anymore, which is huge, and then instead of the 1 day off, we'll have 2 days off. So I'm like really interested to see like what this is gonna be like.
Transition into some new stuff. So
it's all like a brand
great.
new structure to like make it a more what's the word, like livable like
hey,
Or
six
work-life
days out of the
balance.
week, guys.
Feasible, especially because there are a lot of people that they have families, they have kids, and like you want to be able to see
And
them.
I think people get it misconstrued, like under an equity contract, like you are required to work 35 hours a week, like that's the minimum, right? So you cannot work over 50 hours, but the minimum is still 35. Like it's basically 40 hours a week, like the same thing that your mother, grandmother, cousin, everybody works the same amount of hours, and you think like, oh, you're an actor, you don't really like work that hard, you probably don't have to be there that long. I'm like, man,
That's
look,
fun.
35 hours a week, 6 days out the week, like I don't really have time to do much things else except for talk to the actor.
And you
people
have to
out
have
there.
other jobs.
You have to.
Because, but I'm really happy to see it. I hope that this keeps happening, that I hope, I'm putting this out in the universe that people value theater more to make it more livable for the artists working there, and not just the actors, but stage managers, the crew, you know, the people who are putting their time in
everybody
every
involved.
night.
That's a good thing. And now I want to ask this, because we'll get off the alley, because I don't want you to keep talking. They'd be like, well, damn, this is an alley interview. But for some people, I mean, because we've had the discussion before about if you want to be a part of a resident company or not, because then, you know, you're not, I wouldn't say stuck, but you're abided to doing the shows that theater does, and you can't really branch outside of that. And some people like that fact because it is security, it is a set check for however long you're working there, and you ain't got no worries right now in that aspect. And some people like the thrill of searching for the next thing or jumping from place to place. So what I want to ask you is, what type of theater do you like to do specifically? Like, not saying resident-wise or just jumping. What kind of shows? What kind of drama, comedies? What type of theater do you like to do?
Well,
and does it line up with where you're at?
I love it all, and what's really awesome is when Rob talks about like what he wants to do and the things that I think what really attracted me to this is the fact that Rob is the artistic director.
Rob Melrose.
And he's very much like, I never want anyone to feel pigeonholed. And I think sometimes when you think about being in a resident company, that is, I mean, how could that not cross your mind? Like, oh God, like what if I join? And then it's like, I'm always doing this same thing.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, but what I love is that he's very, like the stuff he did before coming to Houston he loves doing like experimental things, and like he loves exploring all of us just kind of, I don't know, do different things, whether it's like, you know, if people have other skills, getting to use those skills. And so I think that's why with this company I felt like, okay, like I'm in a space where, because there are pros and cons, you know, you're kind of like, and I had to think about it, which I know sounds crazy to say, but I did have to really think about it, like, you know, it's a big life decision.
We have had the conversation
many times.
You can, I mean, like we say, like if this were Tuts, right? Like if it were Tuts, and you're not like prone to do musicals, but they bring you on as a resident. They don't have a resident, but
if they
like
did,
you know what you would be doing, right? You would be doing musicals after musicals after musicals, and if that's like not your thing, like is that the better option, right? Like to do the things that you know, like they kind of aren't the things that we want to do, but you still get to do the thing, which is the art. Like, what's the balance in that? Like, is it worth it or is it not?
Sacrifice that for that.
Yeah.
We did have that discussion.
It was a deep conversation.
So it's good to hear that you didn't just be like, I want
to
do
exactly.
it. You know,
I had to agree.
I mean, I'm sure initially, because I would be like, but I was like, hold on. What are we going to do?
Well, no, because like, I'll be honest,
That would
like,
have been a second question.
you know, with the pandemic and everything like that, I mean, I did have thoughts of like, what do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to go? You know, and there was a part of me that thought, I mean, before I knew about this job or any sort of opportunity, I'm like, maybe, you know, I'll just like move to a new place for a bit, see what that's like, you know, and kind of like, I thought about all these different things, and then when this presented itself, I was sort of like, okay, well,
that's an option.
You know, and so I'm like, well, what do I want? Do I want to like, you know, do the thing where I just like audition for a bunch of different theaters and like see if I can kind
try my hand.
Yeah, and travel, or, you know, be here and like keep building and start from this new place. And I think that's why it was so important that we had so many conversations about it, which I appreciated that they had with me. It wasn't just like a, here's this, let us know. You know, like,
I'm gonna slide this right here.
Let us know.
I'm gonna put a number on here.
Yeah.
call me back.
You tell me if that,
call
you
us.
flip that number
You flip
over.
that.
And tell me if it's okay. Blink once for yes, blink twice for no.
And so I really am glad that it was like a series of conversations and check-ins over a period of time just to,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, okay. A series of conversations that helped me kind of realize what I was getting into. Because of course I had questions, you know, of like, can I say no if I don't want to do this? Or like, is there like an open dialogue about like when we, like how do you guys even decide? Because there's so much that I don't
That's a
know.
good question.
And like,
Who gets
Well,
to
we
be in the
all
show?
do
How?
I mean, and that's true because
Do you
if
have
you're
to
not
audition
involved
with
in
this
that process,
group?
You pull
Like,
a hat in the
Yeah.
pot.
Yeah,
and
'cause,
this
I
is
mean-
your character for this show.
yeah,
and
we all just draw out of a hat, you know?
I've always wondered that.
Yeah.
every time, man.
Christmas Carol.
I always get this one. Hey, you want to trade? You want to trade?
Give me
Just
the
tell them
show.
you pulled it. Just tell them you pulled this one. I can't do Christmas Carol again this year. I just cannot.
I know.
17 years.
17 years.
That's what I love about that. Everybody got big like football score
Yeah,
numbers.
man.
Like,
Yeah.
how long you been working here? 17 years.
Right?
19.
Right? You got,
25.
I mean, what?
And that's all your company. That's
20.
your
I
new
know.
family. All.
I know.
You know?
And then they gonna get to you. You're like, one.
Like, I'm a baby. I'm just a
So
But
how
I-
did
but I've
they
been here.
interacting with them once they found out? The
Oh my
actual
God.
company,
That-
Elizabeth and everybody. And
That was an amazing moment. It was kind of funny though because our workshop was like via Zoom and stuff, and then it was funny because the way they did it was, you know, we were all there, and then it's like, okay, well, there's a meeting after rehearsal for just the resident actors, so bye everyone. And I'm thinking, should I stay on the Zoom or do I just leave? Because I knew that they were going to be told.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, leave meeting, and then I just sit there like, you know, and I'm just in my apartment like.
You left the meeting. That's
I did.
great.
I left and I just was like,
They
and then
literally told so they were having a meeting to tell them it was you, and you left the meeting.
and then so I was just like, okay, bye. And then I'm just like,
They called you back to come in the meeting.
well, it was funny because like, you know, everyone was sort of in this mode of like, well, hopefully we'll see each other soon. And then I didn't, you know, I'm like, I don't know how to respond because I know what's gonna happen. So I'm just kind of like, yes, bye. I know.
Later.
I know. Goodbye. Yeah.
Look, we're about to leave meeting.
Click. And I wondered, I was like, should I have stayed? But nobody told me that. So then I was like sitting there, and then it was funny because then like the text, and it was like funny because I like, you know, like Todd FaceTimed me, and he's like, what? And I was like, yes. And then he's like,
Sounds just like Tyler.
yeah. And he was like, that's amazing. And so they all like called and texted, and it was like, it was this really exciting thing that we were just like, you know, we couldn't wait to just be in the same room because it was like, it was this weird like remote celebration, you know? And so it was really nice when recently we all got to see each other in person and hug and just be, yeah.
So they're not treating you like rookie or nothing. You gotta carry everybody back.
You have to buy everybody
Buy
coffee.
coffee.
Go get the snacks. in
Go
your
get my
snack
Tic
locker.
Snacks. Can you
Carry
give me
everybody's
peanuts
script.
and bananas?
I carry all the script, guys.
Peanuts and bananas.
It was funny though because so we have like a group text, and it was funny because someone had said like yay, let the hazing begin. And I sent that gif where it's like the monkey like just kind of like
Hey,
is that a joke?
Are we serious
Like,
here?
Like,
LOL.
Is there actor hazing? Like, is that a thing?
Is that a real
when
thing?
does that start? When do we do that?
Like,
How do I
hold on.
unsign?
How do I unsign up for this? Unsubscribe.
Or just block no.
Unsubscribe.
Alright, let me ask this, and we'll move on. What do you know what you're gonna be in coming up?
That was gonna be my question. What's next?
I
Like
do.
now that we can answer those questions.
I know. God, can you believe? Like I'm so excited about my first season in this new role because all of the shows are shows that like I just love. Like so my first one is actually Hillary's show. We worked with Hillary. We're doing
72 miles.
72 miles to go,
Oh,
right?
That's going to be my first
Okay.
one.
Oh,
And
what's his name, director? Jose
Jose,
Zayas?
yes.
Oh.
And so it's the same team. So it's I'm excited to see Jose again, and I'm excited to see Hillary again because she's going to be in town. And Hillary's an amazing playwright. She won an Emmy, by the way.
Yes,
She won
did.
an Emmy. She's
On a
incredible.
dope ass show. I forgot the name of the show.
The Americans.
The Americans.
Yeah.
Oh, she was a writer for that show.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and her plays are dope.
Yes.
She's amazing, and you saw, like, we saw firsthand, like, she is someone that can be like, okay, maybe I'll just, like, tweak it a little bit. I'll be back tomorrow. She comes back with, like, 15
Whole
new
brand
pages
new script.
of this
It's
beautiful,
like
But it's
just
dope. It's like,
pump
yes.
them out. Like,
Yeah,
man,
like,
it
you
was-
turn the page and you're like, oh my God, you just
and the
wrote
alley
this?
set me up.
Last
They tried to have me play a Latino and no Spanish.
I mean,
Melissa went in there embarrassing me, and who else? Patricia, yes, because they was in there just. And I was like, El Barrio. El Barrio. They told that was the word. They told me, all right, let's just go English.
Let's just say neighborhood.
I was like the El Barrio.
We're like,
They was
And
like,
he's
you know what? Just say neighborhood or hood.
he's at a table of all Latinos, and we're all like,
And they just looking at me just like
real, bro.
you just gonna keep saying it like that?
Now the alley ain't tell me nothing. They ain't say, oh, this is, you know,
It's
you
an
got
Afro-
it's an Afro Latino
So you
type.
just- you-
and he was Cuban
You don't think
too.
you want to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
one of us how to say
He
it?
a Cuban, bro.
No, I had to look.
Cuban. Yeah, you.
But then I was like, all right,
But
but
the
we got it on
accent.
together. Yeah, the accent.
The accent.
And,
But it was such a good show.
no, it came out good.
I mean, it
Julio
was.
Joe.
That's how it turned into. It was a little blacker than they thought.
So Julio turned
But it
into
worked.
Julius,
But it
right?
worked. He was in
Julio
between. You couldn't
turned
know.
into
It-
Julius,
He's
right?
like, yeah, maybe his mama is.
Maybe his mom is a little. I could not.
But
I
nah,
could
that's
not.
dope. So
Oh,
when
man.
does 72 miles ago open? Or what months?
That'll.
Just
I want to say, okay, we start rehearsal in September, so I think October must be when we.
Okay.
I should know these dates, but
no, you're fine. So
I'm-
never know.
September, October, around that time. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely be looking
Yes.
forward to
Yes.
that.
What's after that? Is there more that we
What's the
can
other one?
know?
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Christmas Carol.
Okay,
Christmas
of course,
Carol.
of
You will
course.
have.
Got
No,
it.
just kidding.
Damn it! I knew I should have put it back. God
No,
damn it!
Well, and it's cool too, cause like I mean they've been doing the same Christmas Carol
Yeah.
for like decades, and this is a different one, and so
Wow.
I'm
It's a
really
new adaptation.
yeah,
Oh,
and so it's
Wow.
really
Wow.
exciting.
It's gonna be different.
Yeah, it's gonna be different for
That's
so it's
what's
gonna
up.
be a whole new experience for all of us,
Okay.
which I think is just gonna be an awesome. I think it's awesome that they're doing that because I know part of it is probably having to do with like I don't know, budget. I mean, who knows like what the decisions were, but like. I think it's great to like after coming out of this time for us instead of like going back to a show that people
Amen.
did like a million times,
Amen.
having
Let's
a fresh.
switch it the fuck
I
up.
think
Yeah.
this reset gave every theater
Let's
time to
split.
be like,
To
what the
find
fuck are
some
we
new
doing?
shit.
But we hope that
Like,
it's a
slow
reset.
down enough to
Find
be
some
like,
shit.
what the fuck are we doing? Do we want to keep doing this? And how do we want to proceed further?
I feel like it should not be that question. Like it's a reset for a reason. Like I don't like. I mean, that's another day, another episode.
So we'll get the information of the shows that you'll be in, and we'll probably post it.
Yeah.
So y'all stay tuned and look towards the screen for when we have all her shows coming up. I did want to ask this: do you feel like your culture is represented in the theaters around the city?
I'm gonna say no. Because
True.
yeah. I mean, I think we all have a lot of work to do on that. Mine is definitely not actually because I'm Cuban and Colombian, and I mean,
That's why I said your quote. I didn't want to put you in
yeah,
one.
yeah. I'm Cuban and Colombian, and so
It's rare you see anything.
you don't see anything. Like, actually, that's what was so exciting about Hillary's play, because I was like, hey, Cubans, cool. I mean, it was a crazy. It was an adaptation of Miss Julie, but
But no, because even the talks that you and Patricia were having with her about you relating to people in your family and how you could, like, I mean, I couldn't relate, but y'all were able to have those talks, and
I have the Miami like extended family. Like, I have family in Miami, and that are all in that.
Pray for Cuba right now, y'all. It's real in Cuba right now.
Truly,
really real right now.
Truly, and yeah, but like in general, and it's something that has been a conversation that I've had, like, with different theaters of just like, you know, when they do these Latinx like months or festivals stuff like that, it's like, it's a great start, but it's like to keep seeking diversity within that, because it's such a huge umbrella. And the fact that also, like, you know, and I even have a sweatshirt that says, like, Latina is not a skin tone. Like, you have Afro-Latinas, you have Asian Latino, you know, it's very intersectional.
Filipinos, like, they're Asian
know?
and Latino, like, I mean, it's vast. So I always look at, like, Latinx Week as Black History Month.
And we're here all year.
And what Hispanic Heritage Month?
Which is not even a month.
That's
right? Like,
2 weeks.
Spanish
it's 2 weeks.
Week. No, it's 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks. Actually,
you're actually right, because, well...
It wasn't a whole month.
It's not the month?
No, it's the last half of the month. It's Hispanic Heritage Month is Hispanic Heritage 2 weeks, 14 days.
Can't even get a whole month.
And you're right, because you can represent one kind of Latin type and totally miss a whole other group, but then be like, this is for all of you all.
I mean,
and
it's
really
and I try to explain to people, like, I try to put it this way, where it's sort of like, okay, like, I can do this for you, where it's like, I can be this person, like for example, like, a lot of times, especially being in Houston, and it's a hot topic a lot, you know, they want to focus on, like, the border town experience, but it's like, here's the thing, is like, first off, that doesn't represent all Mexicans, because Mexico's a huge country, there's different regions, there's different styles of food and things like that, but then also it's like, please understand that this is just as foreign to me as if I was playing an Irish person.
Right.
Because it may be the same language, but it's different slang, different accent, different, like, vibe and issues, you know.
Basically what I went through. Like, the guy looks like me, he's my color, he might be Afro or something, but he speaks a whole different language, come from a whole different culture, whole different way of doing things. And I can have the look all I want, but if I don't come from that, I'm not going to be able to relate to that and put that together as you know, anyone could that comes from that actual culture that has actually, you know, been through that and actually grown up in that rather than trying to play that. You know?
Yeah, and it's just this kind of weird thing that, I don't know, I still sometimes don't know how to navigate, you know, because it's such a, when we get into, like, ethnicities, it's like that, you know, it gets really confusing and really tricky.
Do they ask you to play white women roles?
No. I mean,
Are they supposed to be classified
but
as white women roles?
Like,
are they supposed to be classified that
way?
Or are they do they just say Caucasian and we're like, hey, you do this? You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing, is like, what's interesting is that, like, for white people, it's like they're just default. You know what I mean? Where it's like, that's just woman. And actually, it's funny because
man, I see.
That's woman.
You're reminding me though of, like, it's like when, I mean, and I'll never forget that if I ever write a memoir, this is going in it. But like when I did Winter's Tale, and I played like a bunch of different characters.
Yes.
And then
I saw that. I was there.
You were there.
I was there.
Every night.
Every night.
And I had one character that I gave like Latino accent to, and then some people got in a huff and they were like, you know, I don't understand why you did that. Like, why did she have to be Latino? I said, well, technically, all my characters were Latino.
Because I'm Indian. Did you see me?
You know, I'm like, why did Todd Wade have a country accent? You know,
right.
You know, I'm like, that's what my family sounds like.
Why
I
did
don't know
Chris
why
sound
you're...
like he was from Jersey at one point?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, it's like sort of like what, you know, but then also it was an interesting conversation because they'd be like, well, the other two weren't Latino, and I said because it was Melissa Pritchard and Todd Wade, and that would be offensive.
Yes.
Because they're not
Latino.
You know, and I am, but it was interesting.
And I also played like other people that were
like that's the one you remember.
You play like 5 or 6 people, right? Like,
but I think also at that show people didn't really recognize me because the wigs.
That's true.
I looked so
like
different.
you were like almost like a sailor at one point. Whenever you had on like the trench coat,
like
the hat and shit, like and the oars.
Yeah, I had the oars and the oracle.
Yes.
I had the gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was a lot, and then I was the cocktail lady that worked at the hat. I don't know. Whoever she was. I think we named her. I don't remember what her name was though, but I named them after a while because it was just fun.
So, go ahead. Representation. So, does that rely on the people who are writing it, or the theaters or avenues like companies that produce the plays? Like, which is more important? Is it having the content like exist and available, or actually having the companies like produce that content or go looking or seeking for the content as far as representation goes? Like if they are like Cuban writers or Colombian writers or black writers from Senegal or like wherever, like who has more of the responsibility? Like where does that lie?
I would say the producers because the writers exist and the people exist. You know, and of course like encouraging people to write more. Like we always need people to write more stories, and I think it's like. It's kind of like chicken and the egg, where it's like when people don't see things getting produced, they're not as inspired to write something of their own, because it's sort of like, well,
I'm trying to write what gets produced.
Yeah, it's sort of like, you know, I think it's like a cycle, you know, but I think it is on the producers, and I think it's on, you know, casting as well.
It's on everybody.
It's
to me.
So it's a cohesive thing. Like they're all not exclusive. Like you need one to do the other.
Because you could have the black writer, but then if I come in and I put a white director or a Latino director over a black script.
It's not just about the optics of the actors, but it's also about the designers, the directors,
the sound design,
all
that. Cause all that.
I still think it lies with the producing company. In my
well, yeah, the producer controls all that, because if you're the one hiring all those positions, then it lands on you, because I'm the producer. I'm picking who writes the script. I'm picking who's gonna direct this motherfucker. I'm picking who's gonna sound design. I mean, with cohesion with the director, because they usually want to bring their person or something like that. But I'm picking all those people. So when you get back to the top, it's the producing company and the producer of what's going on, having control over. You know.
Have you guys seen like on Twitter when people share like the pictures of like the creative teams, and it's sort of like, you know, they'll be like, we're happy to be back and we've learned so much, and it's all like white people.
That's exactly what you see. It's like,
You're like, well, that's good.
I can tell from this picture you haven't learned.
And I'm gonna tell the truth, like. All the plays, like I'm sure everyone has seen the headlines. Like I think the first 8 plays of the season on Broadway are all like African American and kind of written by African Americans. But I think of 8 shows, I believe 5 of those shows are directed by people not of color. So, right. I mean, like, so what is the difference? Like, I don't know. Is that like a step forward or a step back? Because people that are not of color direct shows of color frequently, pretty much all the time.
When they do.
I think it's problematic.
It is.
Definitely. I think it's a step that you are now choosing the black shows. So great there, but now you need the full, for it to be a true African American, just like if it was gonna be a full Cuban type show, you would want that from top to bottom. If I want to say you're gonna get a full African American experience from this show, I want my sound designer to be really in depth or in tune with African American music. I want my director to be in tune and know how to work well with some good African American actors.
But is that hard to put? But so now I'm gonna play devil's advocate, like as a producer, like how hard is that though? Like how hard is it to put those pieces together? You know what I mean? Like if
I don't think it's hard because most black directors are connected to a black design team that they know and trust. But it's getting the theater you coming with, because who's the guy that did the show Booty
Candy?
Oh yeah,
Robert O'Hara.
Robert
When he came over and he directed Mountaintop at the Alley, he brought in his
he directed The Wiz at Tux.
Yeah, he demanded my team from his, because the Alley got a team for everything. Like you don't need a team, you don't need to come to Alley with nothing. We got you covered and these some good guys too. They really would knock the ball out the park. But he was like, no, if you want me to direct it, then do it my way. I need my audio visual person. I need my sound person, and I'm even bringing in my light guy, because I know you got a dope ass light guy, which they do, but he wanted a light guy that was in tune.
But that's how it was for a Skeleton Crew. Taby was the same way. Now Taby was Egyptian, so I mean however that, but she was very adamant about anybody else that was working that show. They had to be black. I mean, like lighting designers, sound design. She went and found a sound designer from like New Jersey. Like I mean, she was very adamant about that. So
I think it's easy if you listen and are willing to work with the black person, the one black person you did hire first, I guess. And if you would listen and see that it does work, because I think when Allie did Sinking Ink, it worked because they had from top to bottom, they let
But that's my question. Like as a producer, like if we cannot find or put all those people in place, is it worth us doing the show? Like, is it like if I want to produce?
You can always find all the pieces.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't take you not being
Yeah. I'm not arguing with that, because I'm one of the pieces out here waiting to get put together in the puzzle.
But it's like I'm just trying to be devil's advocate. Like without searching, right? Like
you shouldn't do it. If you
there
not
have
gonna
been
take
moments
the time
Now, I'm different.
There have been moments.
I see it's certain directing. I think you would absolutely need, if it's a black show, a black person. It's certain like sound and lights, and this is just me. You were taught the right things in school to where you're able. Now, do you have the right director that can tell you culturally how they see the lights?
Sound is different.
But sound is saying, I know white people that will blow you out the water with nothing but black music.
Agreed.
So it's certain elements of a team that I think cannot be without.
And I agree, they'll have a great catalog of black music, but will they know where to put it and how to put it?
But they do got some that know where to put it.
But like I'm saying, if we are
Quite
doing a Cuban show, and there's a sound designer
that's Cuban,
that is not Cuban, I'm like, wait, like it's supposed to be Cuban music in here, like so.
You would hear from me.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. So it sounds as though it seems as though like, are you really even gonna play music that is actually, or are you just gonna Google Cuban music and just find a random song? Like there's a level of difference there. Like I don't think that's good enough.
But I don't think most stage sound designers aren't creating all the sounds themselves. The majority of them. So if you want me to say, if a white guy came in and I needed this to be authentic Cuban music, can he play authentic Cuban music? I think if he's taught how to play Cuban music from Cuban people, then he would be able to do that.
Nah, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to ride like
you
don't have the soul of where that goes. Like you don't know where that goes.
Music is different.
Music
different.
transcends.
Now we're talking about words,
that's
content, dialogue, but when we're talking about music and how it makes you feel, that's different.
That's true.
That's different. I don't think color goes along with that for when it comes to feeling for something.
It might not be color, but it might be culture. So if you didn't grow up in that culture, you can be as white as you want. and have as much black music as you want.
But
If
you
you're
don't-
not knowing what the fuck we play when it's time to start
It's a
two-step,
it's
and
a
you
sad
put on
time
some,
and you
you
play
put on
Frankie
fucking
Beverly and
Dipset.
Maze.
No, you put on Dipset, oh
But you're
boy,
not
because
gonna
you
hire
know,
somebody that's
Yeah, we gonna-
doesn't know it, but
you know, might know. If you got a great
Right.
catalog and
If
you
you-
showing me, oh yeah, I think this is nice, but
You
you just
can
showing me
always-
what.
you can.
Like he
but
said,
that's
you
what
Google
a
black
a
music
black
last
person
night.
does the same thing in a black show. I think this is
That's
where it's
unfortunate,
go.
too.
We gonna play it and
That's
see if it works.
unfortunate
That's what
also.
a white person would. That's what any y'all confusing me.
That's
That's part
unfortunate
of the
also.
job. That's
Nah.
you playing a song. Now, of course, you
When
can't
we
sit
did
there and
Sing
say
It
back
East,
that
and
ass up.
we had the hip hop sound designer. This nigga Sound Good would say, "Oh, you remember when Rakim had the song? Oh boy, finish this sentence before he could even finish it."
So you telling me
You know what
Rick
I'm saying?
Rubin wouldn't be able to answer those questions? You might have
No,
a white
I'm-
boy that's like Rick Rubin.
Wait,
Stop that.
time out.
Stop
We,
that.
Mike.
Rick Rubin, okay, is like here,
But
and
you
that's
don't
not
know-
fair.
you-
That's
how do
not
you know-
fair.
how
You
do
talking
you
about
know
the
how many
typical
white
white
people
sound
that
designer
don't-
is Rick Rubin,
Melissa,
nigga.
Melissa would like to speak.
But I think when it comes
Yeah, I got
down
sound.
to
I gotta know some sound designers though. Like
I know, and
everyone
can go
has some
across
good
cultures.
points, but I think what it comes down to is the white boy is not going to struggle to find a job. Like he's going to be fine, you know. And I feel like opportunities aren't given to other.
I agree with that. Now
You
the
know-
question was though, if you can't find that person,
Well, then I mean,
Is it worth still doing the production? Like that's like
To me,
if,
no.
if I'm a producing company and I'm like, oh my God, it's so hard to find a Cuban sound designer, Cuban scenic designer. Like it's so
we
hard
have
to do that.
social media though. That's
You
why
right.
I don't.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
here in Houston, we run into that problem a lot. Like you will
if
produce
you gonna
a
take
thing
that
and you'll
attitude
be
of
like,
I can't
oh,
find, then you don't need to do the
I-
show.
I
That's
never
my
buy
point.
but
that,
let's not
though.
be. Let's not fake. They do that here in Houston. Like
That's what I'm saying.
There
Then I
are
say
there
you don't
are
need
big
to do
theaters
the
that's
show.
like, hey,
Cuba
we
too
want to
much.
produce a black show, but we don't know where all the black actors are. And I'm like,
don't
wait,
need to do
there,
the show.
but they do.
That's, but your question was, do they need to do it? I'm saying they don't need to do the show.
I think it depends.
If you're not
too,
gonna go out and get the right pieces that need to make the show happen, or at least get as close to the right pieces as your budget can afford, just don't do it.
Yeah. It's kind of like making a meal. You know, you can only substitute so much.
Yes.
And then it's just.
In
gonna
some
be a different
recipes,
dish.
it says don't substitute here.
like,
In other places, you be
like,
like,
I'ma
you
use-
substitute these
like,
noodles with it.
I'm a
Do
bake
not-
a cake, but I'm gonna use like one.
Because
less
once you
egg.
substitute this, guess what?
I'm gonna
It's not this anymore.
I need 3, but I'm gonna just probably use 1 because I don't have the other 2. But we still gonna make this cake though. It's gonna be great.
Right.
We'll just put a little
But
more
just-
sugar in
just
it.
use this condensed milk.
It's the same.
It's like whole milk. It's whole.
Yeah,
It's-
but you need eggs. So there's that. So
Fuck it, do it without the eggs.
just put extra baking soda in. Just baking powder in. Just put extra
And
baking
yes, is something going to go in the oven and bake and rise?
It might not.
It might
actually.
rise,
Why not
but it
wrap?
will go in the oven. Now, is what gonna come out what you plan to have?
And are you gonna eat it?
And are you going
Everybody's gonna watch it and be like, what the fuck is this? What is this? Ah, this is the worst cake ever.
Is that a cake?
It's missing eggs.
Oh man, oh
They
man,
did too much with the baking powder.
oh man. You know, it has a nice color. It,
It looks.
you know, well, they tried. They tried.
So, Melissa, now that you do have, I'm trying to say it, but now that you have achieved the alley, what is your overall goal as an actress? What is everything you want to achieve before you?
The
know,
dreaded question.
You know,
Oh,
before
What's
you
God.
leave
next?
here.
Oh yeah.
What's
What
next?
do you
But
want?
no, I just what's when you can say, you know, what's the goal? You know, because they ask actors that like we have an end goal or something. But
Yeah.
what is?
I feel like that's always shifting. I think ultimately, like, I want to create and collaborate and connect with audiences, and I want to grow through my work, and so really, I mean, ultimately, that's my aim is to just.
Broadway?
I mean, that would be nice, but I mean, at the same time, like, number one, I feel like regional theater doesn't get enough credit. There's some amazing, beautiful, awesome theaters across the country, across the world, you know, but also Broadway, I know, has a lot of stuff they need to work out with themselves, you know, and I just feel like, yeah, it's...
And you're at a theater that has more seats than most Broadway theaters.
I mean, they have
facts.
of a regional theater, like they're not like a Shakespeare house or a musical house, and being that they are one of the few theaters who do have the most seats in North America, just for because the Alley does not produce musicals or a lot of
we
musicals.
are this season.
What?
Yeah,
See, shit is changing. Shit is changing.
They do musicals every once in a while, like but this year we have a musical.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So
it'll probably go to Broadway.
right. Actually,
but you'll see it here first.
I think the last time they did a musical, it went to Broadway. Yeah.
Or in conjunction with.
Yeah.
So outside of Insensibility, 72 Miles to Go, is there anything else we can look forward to?
Oh, well, so we're not doing Summer Chills this year, but they're moving the All New Festival to the summer. So that'll be cool.
That's actually really cool.
I always love the All New Festival.
Yeah, Alley All New is really the best thing cooking.
I mean, and that's a really cool, like where, you know, people come to us and we get to meet all these playwrights and,
No, it's a dope event. I love it, man. Yeah. Me and my dad were in one year. Yeah.
Which one was he in? I feel like I saw the one he was in.
I forgot what. It was a big ass show. It was the one that had the biggest cast. I forgot. It was like, what's the Sensibility? No. I forgot what it was. But it was a show that was a movie. It used to be a movie. It was written by the person that did.
Oh, I know what you're talking about because
it was that show, but you know, it was that. I
there
forgot
was
what
music
it was.
I saw it. I remember it though.
Because it was music.
We'll find it.
He played the old black man.
That was the name. That was what it said in the script.
That's typecasting, man. Typecasting.
But like Alley All New has been dope, man. Cause I actually saw, and you've been a part because you've been with Hillary, but I actually with Sangu, I was a part of
that was
when they first presented, you know, Sinking Ink. Then when they brought it back, and then when they produced it, like that shit was like I saw the whole process, and that was one of the first shows they took from Alley All New all the way straight to we gonna produce that shit. So
that was one of the most like magical shows I've seen.
Yeah,
that was like one of the coolest experiences.
I just wanted so many more people to see it. Like even just the rehearsals was dope because it just had that feel. Like everybody in that room, even the few people that you know hadn't been a part of that process, but just what we brought. Like no rehearsal. It was like a typical alley rehearsal or rehearsal or any theater rehearsal I had been to. We started our rehearsal with freestyle.
And that blew my mind. The freestyling blew my mind.
And everybody had to go. So if you was like production manager, you next, go.
Go. Face it. Just say something.
I would have just been like this.
That's what they would do. My name is something. And
that's it.
But it was good, but you got to feel it.
But it does.
And even at the end, they would be like, like even people that wasn't used to that, they would be like, I don't know what I'm feeling right now, but I'm just like, I'm hyped, We be like, yeah, you wired up.
What is wired up mean?
I don't know. But I like it. But nah, it was a great feeling, man, and pulling all that together. So.
And I love that we have that because then it's like, that's another like cool experience for people who live here and actors here. We get opportunities to like do original work.
Never been done before. Yeah, and actually follow through with it.
And originate the role.
Yeah, actually originate. Get your name in the fucking book.
Your name in the book.
I'm in one book, y'all. I'm in one book, y'all. I'm only in one. I'm trying to be in more.
I'm in 2 books.
I'm only in one, man. But like that's a thing too. Like that's a thing I think we want, like as actors. Like when you first get that first playbook from Samuel French and you open it up and you're like, oh shit, these are the people who like did it the very first time. Like I need it. Yeah, that has to be at least once, right? So
And it's cool, like, as you go along, too, when people, like, Google you, they'll be like, oh my God, he was in that, too? Like forever ago, you know?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That was me. I love it. That was me. I was in that. Yeah. I'm glad you saw that. So, let me ask you this. What is your, first off, favorite production that you worked on? Best time you had?
Best time I had. Ooh, that's tough. That's tough.
You don't have to say best production. Just what was your, like, I had the greatest time doing this production?
It's tough to say because there's been some, like the ones that I would consider my favorites. It's like they're favorites for like in different ways and different reasons. Whether it was like, you know, like there's one I know is a favorite because I felt so connected to the audience because there was a show I did IMU where a lot of people would come up to me afterwards to like tell their story or tell me how they related to that character, and that was really meaningful to me. Also just the challenge of I think that's the only time I've actually done like a two-hander, which is me and one other person. And that's like, you know, it's a lot. You know, you really bond with that person because you just have each other. But also like, I mean, Murder on the Orient Express was like magical. I mean, that was like so much fun. And I think that's maybe the longest I've done, but that was just like so much fun, and like the characters were so fun, and
I thought you did it.
Huh?
At one point.
I think
thought
and I
did.
did. I mean,
I didn't want. It's old now, but I still feel like I was telling the
spoiler
movie.
alert.
Yeah, it felt like I was.
Y'all
That's why
spoiled
I said
it.
Well,
She did it.
I thought it was you.
And there's been movies, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, shit. That's a bunch
nobody
of them.
knows who I
actually.
was. But yeah, and I do. Yeah, but yeah, and like, I don't know, but even like dating back before, like, you know, those big, I mean, because like, you know, like 12th Night was super fun because there was a lot of dancing and stuff throughout, and that cast was amazing. But like, even when I think back to like when I did Madeline's Christmas, like, you know, like that was like 11, I mean, it was the children's theater schedule of like 11 shows a week, but like, it was like all girls except for like one guy, and we just had so much fun, you know, like all the girls like bonded so much, and we had like so many inside jokes from like wearing winter clothes under these hot stage lights and like singing about Christmas and sweating.
In the middle of the summer. In the middle of the
Where
summer.
we're just like,
All right, worst show you ever done?
worst show I've ever done, you know, I would say the worst experience I had wasn't even a production. So.
Is it a movie?
No.
Commercial?
No.
Voiceover.
No.
Zoom.
I have to think about that. Like, wait, no.
I see. Most difficult director.
Most difficult director?
Doesn't have to be like, oh, I cannot work with them, but just the most difficult process. Or
I would say I have a lot of difficulty when a director, like, especially like, you know, I feel like people, you would expect me to say something like someone who's really like demand, but no, I have a more difficult time with somebody who doesn't really know what they want and doesn't have a vision and just sort of puts me out there. Just do that. And then I think I just am like, well, okay, but what am I, is it working? Is it not working? Like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And so, like, whenever it's somebody that just doesn't have a vision or isn't, like, doesn't take the reins, and I just feel like we're
like
just...
not directing?
Yeah, it's like, I have more trouble with that. I get really stressed with that kind of environment and resonate more with people who have a vision.
Yes. Even if it's not my own vision.
Exactly, but we can
have
have conversations.
Like
work towards your vision.
You know where the car is going at least. You're not just like riding.
And just
telling
being
people
like,
to hop in and do what you feel.
And hope we're going to the same place, you know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Best place to eat in Houston.
Oh, best place to eat. That's so hard because
No.
that's so hard.
No.
That's hard as hell.
I see, man. You can't.
It's hard.
Well, you start having sympathy for the high school.
I'm thinking about it too. Like,
that's hard. Nigga, that's a hard question.
Yeah, it's hard.
I mean, you know,
Off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, I've been ordering a lot in this pandemic from a place called Verdine, which I know it's real bouge, but I love it. It's so good. Verdine. It's so good.
I think I know this place.
Yes, I know that place. She. Okay. All right. Best place to get a drink.
I don't even know anymore because I've been home. I've been home.
Texas.
Hey, alcohol, you can get alcohol to go now, so
CVS.
everywhere. Like CVS, wine, Trader Joe's,
Total
wine. Anywhere. As long as they got to go
Total
drink
Wine
now.
will drive it over to you.
They
drop
will.
it off.
Mini bar delivery. They
Mini
have
bar.
that. Look, I mean,
Uber would bring your liquor to you.
Yeah, they would.
H-E-B.
What theater has the best cast parties?
Ooh. I would say, the Alley. I mean, I feel like the Alley,
Talking
like,
about the potluck or the cast party?
like, no, they have a lot of great parties at the Alley.
Potluck is dope. I love
But
that.
we love a potluck for sure. But they have amazing like opening night. Like I've always had a great time at opening night parties.
Opening night is pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they have like just it all so organized.
Oh, no, I gotta go with the ensemble.
Yeah,
I haven't been to an ensemble one.
I mean,
so
we talk
Old
about
school ensemble.
Yeah, I don't know about
See,
what it
that's
is now.
a
I
little
haven't
different.
been
That's a
there.
good,
Before they
cast
started
parties-
having them at the theater.
Before
But
they had
cast
games.
parties happen after the show. Like,
Yeah, that I
the
ain't talking about
opening night
opening
party is like when the show happens. So
We had both of them.
yeah,
We
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I know. Yeah, I guess we don't really have too many like after the show because it's like it ends and we're all like, I'm going to sleep because I haven't slept.
Yeah, that's what I learned working at the alley stage.
Yeah,
Fourth wall, everybody
We're
at
all
the
like,
end.
love you.
Like, all right, love you.
Well,
All right.
I don't know. I
You
guess
y'all
people
want to
ain't
hang
go-
at some bar race?
At stages, they tend to hang out and,
Stages
fellowship a
does.
little more than others. I've
my
hung
show.
around
Not when I worked
stages
at
for a
stages,
while.
they was out.
Like, yeah.
Oh, maybe with me.
Definitely stages. I can say
Who was
that
that?
like the next in
Or
line.
you
Yeah,
go
I would
hang
say
out
so
at
too.
Guava Lamp. And I was like,
But that's
Nah,
gone.
it's gone?
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
guava
Oh
anymore.
wow, I didn't know that.
I was
R.I.P.
gone after the show at stages. I was out of there.
Guava was fun though. R.I.P.
All right, what is one thing that you would want every actress to know before you leave here? If this was the last Facebook post or last Instagram post.
That
Never
it's
had-
like gonna happen right above your head.
Not saying that you died, but say your account locked and this is the last thing that ever stayed up.
Your like
What?
social media headstone.
Oh my God.
I'm not putting it like that, but-
no.
It's the last thing you posted and then your account locked and you can't change it. So this is all that people will ever see of you.
Oh, well, okay, no pressure.
Unless,
What is my legacy essentially? Like,
unless
what?
they see you live, then you can say something. But,
I know.
but this is the last thing you
What
said.
would I want an actress to know? Just in general.
Anybody.
Anybody.
You know how Facebook says, "What's on your mind?"
What's on my
What would be the last thing?
Post.
What would it say?
Wait, I think I'm lost on what the question is now. Just like what do I want?
It could be
my,
to an actress, but it could be to just the world.
I guess like, I mean, I don't know what comes to mind. I'm like, I don't want to sound whatever, but just
You
like,
can sound cliche. That's
I mean, it's just like you have to be your own biggest fan, and you have to like really look out for yourself because nobody else will. You know.
I'm liking that post. You liking it?
Straight up.
I'm liking it. I might even comment. I might put emojis.
I'm gonna put the heart on it.
Oh, you gonna hold it and then the look.
Slide.
I put the
The little
smiley
hug
face hugging the heart.
Oh, the care.
How about that?
Caring.
Yeah,
that's
you-
a new one.
That's the Karen.
I don't do the upgrades.
You said that's the Karen?
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's called
Karen?
care,
Like-
care emojis.
Oh,
C-A-R.
care. I
But
thought you
not
said
Karen.
No, not Karen.
No,
not
I thought he said that's the Karen emoji. I was like, why she get one?
Okay, so I'm not in the show, so I'm not using like correct diction. Just keep up, okay? It's Karen.
There go the Karen again.
I know.
There go the Karen again.
I know. That's
You
why I
gotta
said
add the G, bro. You gotta add the G.
Karen.
caring.
Caring, okay.
Caring.
Caring.
You gotta hand your G.
I'm like, but I want every actor to know diction.
Especially Brandon.
Move your tongue.
Speak the speech.
But no, Melissa, we want to thank you for coming to hang out on the corner, man. I hope you had a good time. We had it. Don't worry about it. He's DJing right now. I don't know why the nigga's talking. But
I was like, God.
she looked like, what did he say? I don't know. I don't know what he said, but he was adamant about it. But we want to thank you for coming out. We really, really enjoyed you. You were a great, great guest, a great inaugural person for our artist spotlight that we are now doing. So, yes, give it up for Melissa Molano.
Season 2, baby.
And we can't wait to see you at the alley.
Yes.
We can't wait to see your big ass face all on the fucking outside of the building. And getting all that little pub and shit. So we can ride through there and be like, I know her!
Just ride by like,
So man, we can't wait. We definitely gonna do that. We're gonna probably make a video.
We definitely
us
gonna
doing
do
it.
I'm sure it's gonna happen.
So enjoy your time this season. We wish you all the best. We wish you great performances.
Yes.
We wish you to break many legs and have fun.
Yes.
All right, thank you for coming to Actors Quarantine.
Yo, check out Melissa. Hey, all her information and next shows are coming up
Monday
night. Monday night. We thank y'all for tuning in to the Artist Spotlight. You know how it go down right here at Actors Quarantine Corner. We'll see y'all soon. Monday.
Tell your mama to watch the show.
Welcome to the corner.